So in a couple seconds, I want to show you a clip from last night's Tucker Carlson, where he goes in on a disgusting attack on AOC. Honestly, guys, you know how bad Tucker Carlson can be, and this is really, really low, even for him.
Has happened. Therefore, you've got to hand the worst people in the world the keys to your life. See how that works? As if you needed more evidence that it's all about what's good for Sandy Cortez and her friends, and not about what's good for you, because nobody cares about that. Watch her new position, her revised position on defunding the police. This is from the other day.
Many of us nearly and narrowly escaped death. There were members of Capitol Police who were quite heroic. You know, we have many officers, and, you know, there were also black and brown officers that were confronting white supremacists and putting themselves not just to protect members, but they put themselves in harm's way.
Narrowly escaped death. When the most harrowing thing you've done in life is pass freshman sociology at Boston University, every day is a brand new drama. Sandy's heart is still beating fast. But she likes the cops now, despite the fact they're white supremacists. What a difference a day makes. And Sandy Cortez is not alone. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley.
And so what you see there is him mocking AOC and simultaneously suggesting that somehow AOC is exaggerating what happened in Congress about a week ago on the 6th in order to somehow attack conservatives, attack the right, attack Republicans, attack law enforcement, and use this as a moment to build both sympathy and power. And that's absolutely awful to say. And it's not true. AOC has been very clear and candid. And in that live stream, which we covered in part on this channel, she was being very vulnerable and very honest. I don't think she had any ulterior motives. Yeah, it was a political stream, but it was a deeply honest and sort of ad hoc one. It wasn't like she was like, oh, geez, something bad happened on Wednesday. I'm going to exaggerate it and then have a live stream where I pretend to be really, really sad and really, really scared and really, really shaken, and then use my tears as political sympathy points to advance these policies in precisely these ways. That's what Tucker Carlson is implying, and that's not what happened. The reality is, people like Tucker Carlson caused what happened in large part. They caused it, at least at a philosophical level, at a political level. They didn't organize the event necessarily, but they helped to create the political context in which that day on Capitol Hill happened. 100%. 100%. There's a great tweet here. I want to read you this tweet because it really does capture why Tucker Carlson here is especially despicable in making this argument. John notes here, Tucker Carlson and Fox have spent 2 years whipping their viewers into a frenzy against anything at AOC or at Ilhan Omar, say or do. Then when the inevitable happens and tries to attack them, Tucker Carlson mocks them for fearing the violence he sent their way. Despicable. He's 100% right. Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump, many other people in right-wing media, whether we're talking about social media or traditional media, written or audio-visual, have tried to make AOC and Ilhan Omar in particular, but also people like Bernie Sanders and Rashida Tlaib, and frankly, even corporate Democrats that really aren't at all a threat to the Republican Party, if I'm being honest. They've tried to make them out as literal enemies of the good, real, we read white conservative American people. And so when some people take that seriously, take that characterization to heart, and then act upon it, and then go to the Capitol with malice in their minds and in their hearts and in their hands, how could you blame AOC, maybe even more than other people, being afraid of what might happen? How could you blame her? She knows that people like Tucker Carlson have whipped up crowds against her. People like Donald Trump as well. People like those have chanted, go back to where you came from, even though AOC is born and bred in the United States just as much as a person from rural Nebraska with the last name Smith, right? But because of her skin color and because of her ideology and because she's an outspoken young leftist, she can be othered as non-American and therefore seen as a literal enemy to the Republic and treated as such in the media. People wonder why she's afraid when people like that show up to the Capitol. And let's be really clear here, because I don't want to make this all about the Democrats. It wasn't just them at risk. Mike Pence was a target of this crowd. He was. Ben Sasse put out a note. Ben Sasse is a Republican senator who was one of the first senators to acknowledge Biden's victory and one of the more vocal critics of Trump, especially since the election. And he said, look, these people were not simply drunk revelers. They were not simply people that just decided on a whim to maybe go mosey through the Capitol with no aim in mind. As he notes, there were people here bent on literally taking the life of the vice president and others. That's what was at stake here. He didn't do the thing Trump wanted him to do that was unconstitutional for him to do, which was to, from his role as the ceremonial head of the count, somehow unilaterally exclude a few states. He didn't do that because he couldn't do that, right? Even if he wanted to, I don't know, but he certainly couldn't. And then they wanted to take his head. That's what they wanted to do. Don't let people gaslight you into thinking this was no big deal. Don't let people do it. Don't let anyone do it, especially people with the profile and the wealth and the influential power like Tucker Carlson. Don't let people do it. This was a severely dangerous moment, both in a philosophical sense for what it means for a democracy, but also literally that people like AOC and Ilhan Omar and even conservatives like Mike Pence came moments away from not being here anymore. Don't let people like Tucker Carlson, who's never faced a struggle in his life. The guy is born with a silver spoon. He was born with a silver spoon even more than other wealthy people. He's from the 0.1%, the 0.01%, really from an absolutely elite family. This guy has no way he can lecture people. Don't let him get away with it. This was a dangerous moment, and you're not wrong for thinking so.